Hello, welcome back to my channel. So I just wanted to update you guys a little bit. The American Sign Language class that we were going to take was canceled last night. So we were kind of bummed out about that because we were really looking forward to taking it together. Hold on 1 second. I have to reposition my body. My leg's not liking this idea here. Okay, so they're gonna reschedule it though, and so we'll probably be able to take it. She said, the lady that I talked to, said that they're gonna try to reschedule it around the first of the year. So we'll probably be taking it together whenever it comes around. Sorry, I just had a bug fly in my eye. I just wanted to tell you some of the lifestyle changes that I've made. It's not been easy, but I've been making them. I have been setting more boundaries, telling people no a little more, which was not easy for me. I don't like telling anybody no about anything, but I have learned that I have to right now, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to heal. I'm not going to be able to, at least, at this point, we can see that at least maybe here, maybe in the next year or two, I will be able to be back. Hopefully, if this treatment continues to work, be able to be back to about 90% of what I was, how I was before. But I know I'll never be that person again, because this whole experience has changed me, and it's changed my perspective. And I think I've even said this before. It just changed my whole perspective on life. Some of the things I've had to cut back the amount of time that I do physical activities during the day, just because my legs they don't longer handle it well. As soon as they start getting tired, I can feel it. And if I don't stop within a certain amount of time after that, I won't be walking very well. I've been doing more hands-on things, just trying to find stuff to do that I can do, and keeping my mind busy, I guess. But not what I'm used to, but it is working. It's going to be a slow process. We still don't know a whole lot. I still have to go back. I had to go for a CT scan in a couple days, and they'll be able to see if the blockage is cleared up any in my nasal cavity. Like I said before, the neurologist seems to think that there's still something else going on with my ears. So we're hoping that maybe the ENT will be able to pull something whenever they do the CAT scan. And, be able to tell just by looking from it. I'm hoping be able to tell by looking from it, is there something else going on, and if there's something else we can do about what's going on. I feel like I'm healing slowly, but it could be at least 6 months to a year before we see a significant change. And unless it's a miracle, I'm not going to be 100% back to normal. I'm not going to be 100% back to normal anyway, because I am losing my hearing, and that alone is something it's a struggle sometimes. I'm learning to deal with it. Like, I've been experiencing hearing loss for a while now. Even before, January, when all this started this year, but I've dealt with it in the past, so I'm okay with, I'm at peace with it. It doesn't really bother me. It does bother some people. It does bother, you know, other people who know me. But I'm at peace with it. Whatever God, you know, if God should, if I should no longer be able to hear, then, you know, God will, you know, provide something. I believe that. He's a healer and he's a provider, and he's not letting me go through this alone. He's with me. I'm trying to keep the sun from being so bad on this camera, but it's not working very well. Weather is cooling down, so maybe this will help a little bit more. But I feel like I'm healing a little bit. One of the reasons I am healing is because I've cut things out that weren't totally necessary all the time. I've cut my work shifts down. And hopefully this will continue to work. I'm in Dietary Changes. For you that don't know, I've actually had a food allergy, a severe food allergy actually, for a while now. I want to say this May would have made it 5 or 6 years since I found out, but I have a red meat allergy, and it includes, you know, like steak, pork, or, you know, beef, pork. I can't even have the game animals, like, you know, deer or, you know, I guess goat. Not that I would want to eat some of it, but I can't have those either. So that automatically was a dietary change that I had to make like 6 years ago. So I've been on pretty much a vegetarian diet for a while. At one point I even went raw vegan a few years ago. Just because I was having a lot of stuff just upset my stomach, so I wasn't sure what was happening. But with this though, the dietary changes that I've had to make have been the salt content. And it's not so much that I can't have salt. I just have to make sure, like, I can't have high content amounts of salt. And what salt I do have that's in my food has to be spaced out throughout the day. That's to help keep the triggers from being intense, or, you know, to even keep them, prevent from having trigger in the first place. The same with the sugar. I can have the sugar, I just have to space it out throughout the day. Which I don't really, I mean, I love sweets, so that's kind of hard, but I don't eat a whole lot of them though. So when I do eat them, it's, you know, trying to eat them in moderation. I eat more fruits and vegetables most of the time. So, and your body handles those types of sugars a little bit differently than something like the refined sugar. I have also, what else have I done? My sleep patterns. Oh, this was a big one, because when this stuff first started, I was waking up really, really early. I was going to bed very, very late. And hold on one second. Like, yeah, I've been on somewhat of a vegetarian diet for a little while. I watched, you know, you have to watch the salt and the sugar content. And then on my sleep patterns, I was waking up really, really early or going to bed really, really late because there was a lot of things I was doing, and I wasn't getting enough sleep even before this stuff started. And when it started, when I really started getting exhausted and fatigued, and I was trying to let people know that I'm not well, that I need to rest. It was hard for people to understand me. They didn't understand why, I wasn't feeling great. And I was trying to explain to them, like my body, I'm doing so many things and I'm having these reoccurring ear infections. And I was pretty exhausted when I was trying to work and trying to do these things, that I would just crash. On the weekends when I didn't have, or on Saturdays mainly, when I didn't have a whole lot to do, I would almost crash the whole day. And that was when it first started. Some of you guys don't know, but like vestibular migraines, when they first start, this is one thing that makes it hard for them to even be diagnosed in the first place, is because they start, like for instance, mine started, I didn't have a headache. I had head bobbling, and I slowly ended up one day, my legs felt very, very tired, almost, but it wasn't abnormally tired. It was just one of those tired feelings that you get, if you, maybe pushed yourself too hard, you carried too many boxes or something, those muscle aches, and it was like that one day. And then all of a sudden, I was walking in the house and my legs started wobbling, and I didn't understand what was going on. I just thought, oh, it's nothing, it's no big deal, I can sleep it off, it's just, I'm just tired. I slept it off. That's what I thought I could do. And the next day, I was okay when I was at work, but when I got home, the longer I was on my feet, the wobbling was back. And I didn't understand what was going on at that time. So, it started to evolve, like, my legs would only do it once in a great while. And then it got to the point where I was doing it every day. And, this is even when I was going through the testing, they're trying to figure out why. Now with medication, I do bobble on most, like my head no longer bobbles, but my legs still have somewhat of an issue, on most days, but it doesn't do it like all day long like it was. So that's a good thing. That means, maybe it is healing a little bit. Sometimes the spasm or the duration of them aren't that long, but I have also cut out a lot of things that I was doing. I have cut out a lot of the physical activities that I was doing. Even at one point I was trying to like run and walk my dog, and on top of what I was doing, and it was just too much. And the more I cut out, the less of this problem I'm having. So most people don't understand that it's a complete life style change. It's not just we're taking medication and we can go and it will be fine. We have to like cut out a lot of things that we were already doing. It's not, you're living within the limitation is what you're doing. If you don't know about it, you can also look up the spoon theory. Somebody pointed this out to me. I didn't understand what it was, but once I looked it up, it made sense. And it also shows where, it takes a certain amount of energy to do each physical activity. And the more you do in a day, the harder your next day will be, or harder that night will be. And that's the way it is when you have a vestibular disorder or vestibular migraine. You can't always do everything in a day. And that makes it really hard because people don't understand. They don't understand how, like one day you're fine, which you are, because you've learned that boundary and that safe boundary that you can push yourself to without overdoing it, so you appear fine that day, or you appear well and healthy. Because, I mean, you probably even still have, I mean, I do sometimes, even when I appear that way, I'm still fighting, you know, some of the invisible symptoms that people can't see. But then the next day, like, you know, the next day, I'm wobbling through the house. Because I tried to do too many things. Or the weather changed, which threw off my, you know, equilibrium. There's also, I mean, like today, for instance, yesterday was a great day. It was kind of humid, which is odd because usually I have a really bad time in the humidity, but it wasn't bad. I was able to work for a couple hours. I went and helped out at my church for a few hours. I didn't really have any symptoms. Later that night, my legs were a little wobbly. They weren't bad, which I expected because I was on my feet a little bit longer than I had been. Which is, I don't want to not be on my feet, but I don't want to be sitting down. You know, I don't want to sit down all the time either. So I try to get up as much as I can. But with that being said, so yesterday was a great day. I didn't really have any issues at all. The weather cooled down. Then this morning I was feeling fine. I was feeling a little tired. I expected it. But I wasn't feeling horrible. And then I was doing fine. I drove to the dollar store. And as soon as I walked in to the dollar store, my eyes and my legs, they didn't know what they were supposed to be doing. So I started kind of bobbling, which I didn't have anything to hold on to, so I just started walking, or I tried to use my glasses first, which sometimes if you can block that, like, you know, UV light or blue light, it will help. So I put my clip on over my glasses, turned them into sunglasses, and that wasn't really helping. I decided, okay, well, I'll just go without my sunglasses, or go without glasses, period, because sometimes that helps. And I just flipped them up on top of my head like a headband, and I started walking around that way. And I thought I was doing a little bit better, but I wasn't. I was still bobbling. So I just started walking very, very, very slow, because I didn't want to fall, and I didn't really want to get wobbling too bad that I couldn't walk to the cars or the van. So I just, you know, was walking really, really slow, and we made it. I mean, that's the way it is some days. When I got to the van, I sat there for a few minutes and let it try to calm itself down. And we ate, which, you know, I probably should have eaten before I went. We ate. And I was having a whole hard time with that, but I mean, we were doing it. And then I was like, I think it was time to go home because I just needed a rest. So I rested a little bit, and now I'm talking to you all. But every day is different, and that's what makes it very hard to tell people what's going on. Because if anybody seen me yesterday, you probably thought, she's healed. She's healed, she's fine. But that's not the case. The case yesterday is I lived within a certain limitations, and I was able to accomplish certain things by doing it a certain way. That doesn't make sense. I mean, when I needed to sit down, I sat down. When I was ready to stand up and move around, I did that. At one point I was sitting cleaning, you know, I wasn't standing on my feet the whole time. What else can I say? Another thing is the stress which this situation in itself just stresses you out, stresses me out. I won't lie. I do get through it though. I pray and I try to talk when people will listen. I try not to stress out, because the more I stress out, the worse I feel, the harder it is for me to move, and the less independent I become. And I don't want to be someone that someone has to take care of all the time. So I try not to let myself be stressed by stuff and try to just let it roll off. But yeah, that's just some of the things that I've dealt with, that I've done. My lifestyle has changed, and it's even when I heal, if it's 6 months from now, if it's 2 years from now, however long it takes, I will never be that same person that I was back in November, December, January, whatever. I will never be that person. I'm never going back to that person, because that person that I was didn't know how to balance her life. I didn't know how to set boundaries for myself, which I do now.